Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another live session with Rumination News Network. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope that you will join me shortly. Now, this afternoon, we are going to be looking at a very interesting live discussion with Mr. Pereira, Mr. Gerald Pereira, and that is going to be the title of the program of the live is DR, that's the Dominican Republic, and Trinidad, U.S. drug war frontline or pawns in a new multipolar power struggle. And that is what we are going to be looking at in this afternoon's program. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Rumination News Network. This afternoon, we're tackling a topic that goes far deeper than headlines, deeper than politics, and deeper than the official narratives we've been fed. The Dominican Republic and Trinidad and Tobago have suddenly become the front line of Washington's so-called war on drugs. But the question we're asking tonight or this afternoon is this: are these nations truly partners in security, or are they pawns in a much larger geopolitical chess game? But let's be honest, the Caribbean is no longer a forgotten region. We are now sitting at the crossroads of a new global power struggle between the United States, China, Russia, Venezuela, and every major player fighting for influence in a multipolar world. Why is the US expanding its military footprint in the DR and Trinidad? Why now? And who really benefits from calling our region a security threat? To break this down, we have with us a man who has been warning about this moment for years, Mr. Gerald Pereira, geopolitical analyst, Pan-Africanist, and someone who understands power dynamics in the Caribbean like very few do. This evening or this afternoon, we're cutting through political spin, media fog, and official statements, so prepare for a conversation. This is honest, unapologetic, and absolutely necessary. Share this live, tag your friends. The region needs to hear this. Let's get into it. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure that I'll be joined by Mr. Pereira shortly. Well, he's here. Yeah, let me add him to the studio. Maybe he's not yet ready. Okay, so when we see him, we will be joined by, welcome everyone. And we have, I Know Myself. Trinidad and Tobago have become the next Ukraine. Yeah, and it's so sad. And I've been warning that this day was coming, and I did not want it to come. But it seems to me that it is here, and we can't turn it back. And I'm so sorry to hear that, because Ukraine is going through a nightmare. And we have to discuss this very important matter at this moment. They're planning for a long-term war in Venezuela. Yes, I don't know if it's a long-term war. I think that what I'm thinking that because Venezuela is such a very difficult terrain, I think eventually that they will just have to bomb, and that is what I think that they were trying to avert. But it seems to me that Washington might not have any other choice if Nicolas Maduro does not leave office. Now we have President Jafar saying Trump just betrayed his own policy against narco-terrorism. He has just pardoned, a narco president of Honduras of a 45-year conviction for drug trafficking. Yeah, you're correct, President Jafar. What I think, though, and I think that Mr. Corbyn mentioned it many times on the program when he's been on the live, that it's not a fact that they want to stop the drug trade. They are the ones who want to control the route, right? So if Nicolas Maduro, I'm not saying now that Nicolas Maduro is involved in any drug trafficking, but any person who is involved, just like we had the kingpin in Jamaica, what's his name again? Yeah, let me get Mr. Gerald Pereira coming in. Okay, he's joining. As soon as he comes, I will put him on the stage. Mr. Pereira, are you there? Okay, yeah, so they don't want any competitor, any major competitor. What they want are lackeys, right? And a system that they control themselves. Jeffrey Worrell, greetings, Sir Andrew, greetings, Sir Jeffrey. And to your guest, yes, Mr. Pereira is getting himself ready to join. Let me see if I can put him on. Well, as soon as he gets here, we will talk to him. So he'll be coming back shortly. Okay, then we have yes, absolutely. So Dudas Coke, right? Christopher Dudas Coke. That's what they wanted him, and because he had gotten so much power from the system, Washington, and perhaps had become autonomous of Washington and Washington's radar, they decided to take him out. So the fact is that this gentleman that was Akil, yeah, we have good day, Akil Carter. It's funny, Sir Andre, YouTube literally is holding some comments. Yes, and holding back my videos also. They're also holding back my videos. And I'm asking you guys to like the videos and to comment as much as you can and share the videos also with others as much as you can, that others can join the live, because YouTube doesn't want the videos to go along. They have tried, and sometimes even ChatGPT, when I give my analytics to ChatGPT, they're saying, "Wow, your analytics are impressive, but the videos are not going along." So we can see where, therefore, that they want to suppress as much. So you have to do all in your powers to share the videos, like the videos, so that they can be shared along. If it didn't pop up, an hour on the screen would see the one about narco-terrorism. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, share the live. Mr. Pereira will be joining us shortly on the live. Okay. Now, it's important too that we understand that the war is in the air. And I don't think this war is going to stop. It's almost like it's inevitable at the moment. Nicolas Maduro is strong, and he's saying that he's not going to leave. He's very, very much determined that he's not going to leave office, and Washington wants him to leave. And so the latest news that we've had, I just sent out a video. Please go and watch the video also that I just released at 12 p.m. this afternoon. I did release a video on the fact that, this is the latest, that Trump is offering Nicolas Maduro to leave, and then they leave Venezuela alone. If Nicolas Maduro leaves tomorrow, then there'll be no war. Okay, so he's asking him and his family to leave the country, and that's what the last news is. So please go and watch that news video that I sent to you, because that is the latest in the story. I could read you an excerpt here and then I'm going to a video that I saw online, which you need to watch. We're hearing that a tense phone call last week between the White House and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro offered the embattled leader one final deal: resign immediately, leave Venezuela with his wife and son, and receive safe passage, or face the full force of an expanding U.S. campaign targeting what Washington has labeled a narco-terrorist regime. So that is the latest. But I want you to watch this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to share my screen, and you're going to watch this lady, and she's going to express very clearly what the purpose of this war is all about. I thought this is something that I could share with you. Let me see if I could rewind it. Let me see if I could rewind it before. Okay, yeah. So let me now share this video with you. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Mr. Pereira is going to join us shortly. Please like the live and share it with as many. According to Mersheimer, victories involving countries can also be accomplished by ground troops, and that means eventually boots on the ground. It may likely mean Trinidad and Tobago troops via a draft. Yes, that is true. Maduro about hot going nowhere. He unsheathed the sword of Bolivia the other day. That's a big deal. Okay, yeah. So let us watch now. Let us watch what this lady is saying, because Mr. Perez is trying to get in the studios. I'm not sure what's happening to him. Okay, so let's now see if we can share this this video of what this lady is saying, so that we can get an understanding of what this is about, this war effort is about, because she did a very good job of it. So let me now share my screen with you so that we can see what is there. Maybe I'm not in this. Let me see if I can share the screen. Share the screen. Oh, you know what happened? I will have to delay that video for a while, because I have to now. Let me see if I can get it here and share it with you as shortly. Please be a little patient with me here. I forgot that I didn't have it on the right screen. Let me see if I can put it right here. Hopefully it will come up. Hopefully it will come up and you will be able to see it. So let me, so she's here. So let me now see if I can share it with you as quickly as possible. So share the link, and it's going to be here now. TikTok, yeah, and share. Okay, so please, it's coming. It should be coming up. Yeah, so it's here now. Let me turn on the sound. Oh, she's not. Oh, the audio is not there. What's going on here? Hmm.
Able.
Hmm. Hmm. Very well. Yeah, very well said. Very well said. I think that she encapsulated what is happening very well. What do you think about that video? I thought that this was an excellent video in which she's telling us that this is more than just about oil. This is just more about Venezuela and the war on drugs. In fact, it has nothing to do with the war on drugs, as she's saying. It's a war on us. And the presidents of the United States are seeking to build up their their executive power, and it's a war on the American people. So the more powers that they build up, then is the more rights that will be curtailed and more rights will be violated, more American rights. So it has to do with foreign policy. I disagree with her on that, but it's also foreign policy plus domestic policy in terms of the war that is being waged against Americans, because as we know, you can't say certain things against what Trump is doing. Right, because he's saying that it's in the interest of national security. And, the fact of the matter is that when they were telling us in Trinidad and Tobago, for example, I heard when Roger Alexander asked, he wrote a letter to the U.S. Embassy telling them that they should push back against people and revoke visas of people, particularly those of the diaspora, Trinidad diaspora, those who speak out against what Kamala Persson-Bissessar is doing and what the administration of the UNC is doing. And the embassy said they wrote back this false letter that they believe in freedom of speech because it's a cornerstone of the United States. And I'm like, is that true? What freedom of expression is the cornerstone of the United States? Yes, it's in the Constitution, but are they really upholding the laws of the Constitution? No, right? They are not. They are certainly not upholding the laws of the American Constitution. The fact of the matter is that what they're doing, they're playing with us, because we know that whatever came from Roger Alexander is not an official TNT policy. It's coming out of the State Department of the United States of America. And I'm happy that somebody spoke about the narco-terrorist that was actually forgiven by Trump coming from Honduras. If you read that history of Honduras in 2009 and what President Barack Obama and his Secretary of State Hillary Clinton at the time did to Manuel Zelaya, that's something that is, wow, it's shameful to know that they did what they did. Even the State Department, I understand, based on what WikiLeaks said, that the State Department told Hillary Clinton that what she did was unconstitutional and illegal. The State Department told the then Secretary of State that, right? Because they had him in his pajamas, that is Manuel Zelaya. And all because he sought to have improved the minimum wage, to have a minimum wage in Honduras. And the last link now that cut them, and Washington could not have him in the House here, in the Parliament, whatever they call it in Honduras, is that he wanted now to ameliorate the lands that the agri business people, these big corporations, were taking from ordinary farmers. And when they saw that the mining companies and the agribusiness, would have lost money, Washington decided to take him out. And they flew the sitting president of Honduras. And this happened in 2009. So talk about Haiti in 2004 when they removed Bertrand Aristide, right? And then in 2009, this is recent history, under Barack Obama, after he had just won the presidency, his first year into the presidency, they actually took out, in the most despicable and shameful manner, Presidente Manuel Zelaya. And that is how they put in this, what you call this guy that they eventually, captured and took to the United States. And he was this terrorist, right? And Trump has just now forgiven him. And Trump is now threatening Honduras, now that you have under the presidency of Xiomara Castro, that if she wins the election, he's threatening the citizens here, that if she wins the election, if the people vote for her, then he's going to remove all aid to Honduras. So this is the new era that we live in. And I'm sure that secretively, he might have said the same thing to Kamala Persson-Bissessar and to all of the other Caribbean leaders with whom he spoke, right? He probably said the same thing to her. And maybe that's why she became very fearful that perhaps she has to be careful and she's just towing the line. Now, I also want to advise all of you on the line. I know that we don't like what Kamala is doing, and I don't like what she's doing. Absolutely not. But we must understand that a lot of times too, sometimes she lies, and I think sometimes she might not be lying. A lot of times they don't really know what is happening. Once they have signed on to the U.S. military industrial complex and to do their bidding, lots of times, because the CIA is above everything, they don't know what, even the President of the United States, sometimes he doesn't know what the CIA is doing. Do you know that? There are times when he's briefed at the last minute and he just has to go along with what they are doing. So maybe too, when Kamala was suggesting that she didn't know that the military was there actually, installing an equipment, a radar equipment in Tobago. Mr. Pereira, let me know when you're here. I'm trying to put you on the stage, but I'm not seeing you. I see your thing. Are you here?
Could you hear me?
Here. Oh, you're here. Okay, I can hear you. Okay, good. Thank you so much.
For some reason, I don't know. It's saying something about the camera.
That's fine. If you can't show your camera, once we can hear you, that is fine with us.
Good.
Thank you so much for joining, Mr. Pereira. So Mr. Pereira has joined us. Unfortunately, we can't see his face, but we know we want to hear his voice. All right, because Mr. Pereira is somebody that is knowledgeable on the fact. I was just saying, Mr. Pereira, that the whole matter of what is happening in the Caribbean now. We know that Mrs. Bissessar sometimes lies. We can see, it's evident, it's palpable, clear that she lies a lot of times. But I'm saying to them, I don't know if you agree, that sometimes even the President of the United States doesn't even know what these CIA members are doing. Sometimes, I understand, under Barack Obama's regime, sometimes he just got the news at the last minute when he had to go and give a press conference. So I'm wondering too, if she is being used and sometimes is not properly informed about everything that they've done, given that she has given them the freedom of carrying out the military bases and to install military bases in Trinidad. What do you think?
Well, you're absolutely right. Today we speak about the deep state. But many years ago, many moons ago, there were a number of American political theorists who argued that in the United States, there's this illusion of democracy. Yes. That people believe that when they vote for a president, a particular party, whether it's the Democrat or the Republicans, that their input is what makes it a democracy. That is not true. There is what you do, as Michael Parenti, the great American political scientist, people like Herbert Aptheker, the American historian, C. Wright Mills, people like Sheldon Wolin, and many others, that there is a state within a state. There is a state. You do not elect. What you do is you change the managers of the state, right? You change the president, but there are certain things that are a given. They're non-negotiable.
Yes.
Now, I was listening to Claudia de la Cruz, the presidential candidate for the Party for Socialism and Liberation.
Yes.
And they have chapters all across the United States. And the main parties, they went to the various courts to make sure that they prevent them from getting registered.
Yes.
Right? They actually have a way of keeping out third parties. So what you have is one bird with two wings. The Democrat and the Republicans are two sides of the same coin. Malcolm X understood this when he said one practices the politics of the fox and the other one the wolf. But you're apart from that, listen to every US president before entering the White House. Barack Obama is one. They say things, and then when they get in, it's something completely different. Because the real power brokers, those that no one elect, call them in and then read the riot act to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And the United States has never been a democracy. I met the late Ramsey Clark, who was a former attorney general in the United States government. I think it was under Lyndon Johnson. and he founded the International Action Center. He's one of the founders. And he apologized to Kwame Ture, formerly Stokely Carmichael.
Yes.
Ramsey Clark said that he was brought up on a diet believing that America, right, is a democracy. But America's not a democracy. This is Ramsey Clark, former U.S. Attorney General. He said America is a plutocracy. And we need to understand this. The U.S., what you're seeing is more bullyism under Trump. It's naked fascism. There is no other description or word for it. And Caribbean leaders, they're those who are prepared to prostrate themselves before the bully. I do not believe one word coming from Kamala Bissessa. I don't believe one word that is coming from her.
Yes.
And I believe that if Ms. Bissessa is going to make arrangement, Trinidad and Tobago, like Guyana, are meant to be sovereign and independent nation states, at least theoretically on paper. Good?
Yes.
But we don't see it in terms of substance. And if Ms. Bissessa and President Ali in Guyana are going to go behind the backs of the citizens of these two countries and make deals with the empire that threatens our sovereignty and independence, I'm reading the Riot Act, and many are saying this, that we have to put them on notice that it is treason. And when they're out of office, we are going to pursue them.
Yes. Yes.
Because it violates our constitution. It violates everything that we as respect nation states stand for within the Caribbean community.
Yes. Yes. I want to read Mr. I don't know if you have your thing. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Mr. Pereira, who is the president of the Organization for the Victory of the People. He has a press release. And do you have a copy of it there, Mr. Pereira? I'm going to see if I can share it on the screen with them. And you can read it if you saw it. Is he still here? Hello, Mr. Pereira? Seem to have gone. Okay, so let me see if I could pull this on the screen. Pull this up on the screen. Mr. Pereira will join us shortly. Share the screen with you, Mr. Pereira. Mr. Pereira's his press release. Now let me see here. It's right here. Can you see the screen? Yeah. So we have here hands off Maduro, hands off Venezuela. CARICOM countries across the Caribbean, Central and South America must defy Trump's ludicrous and illegal no-fly zone. Organization for the Victory of the People, OVP, condemns Donald Trump's latest moves in his war games off the coast of Venezuela. First, he declared the CIA created Carta de los Soles, a terrorist organization and the greatest terrorist threat to the world. And second, he illegally and unilaterally declared the airspace over Venezuela closed. He has no authority to do this, and in the absence of any institution capable of enforcing international law, we call on CARICOM and countries across the Caribbean, Central and South America to break this no-fly zone immediately. Across the Caribbean and South America, the majority of people know that the most serious terrorist threat to this region, and indeed worldwide, is the US empire and its allies. We must respond to the naked fascism and bullyism of gangsters parading as world leaders like Trump with one unified voice. The only way to stand against this existential and very real threat to our sovereignty, peace, and security is to resist en masse. If this situation escalates into a full-blown invasion of Venezuela, it will have dire consequences for Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and the entire region. The people of the global south have seen the same scenario played out too many times. If Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and Syria have taught us anything, then it is that we must act now to prevent further escalation. When Captain Ibrahim Traoré was threatened, we raised our collective voices from the African continent to the Americas and everywhere in between, demanding hands off Traoré, hands off Burkina Faso, and we must do the same now. Hands off Maduro, hands off Venezuela. As usual, the United States has fabricated the usual fiction, For the record, there is no structured organization called Cartel de los Soles. This is a nickname given to Venezuelan generals who assisted the CIA drug trafficking operations dating back to the early 1990s, long before Nicolas Maduro and his predecessor, Hugo Chavez, assumed office. The nickname came from the fact that the general's uniform carried a sun symbol on the shoulder lapel. Those of us who live in the region are well aware of the fact that the CIA is part and parcel of the drug trafficking operations throughout the region. The CIA worked hand in hand with these corrupt Venezuelan military officers, Colombian senators, and their death squads, as well as with a number of corrupt U.S. government officials in Miami, to name just a few of its notorious connections. These relationships and operations predated President Petro's presidency. In fact, his predecessor, Ivan Duque's election campaign was financed by one of Colombia's most powerful drug lords. President Petro has waged war on the drug cartels since coming to the office, and has received serious threats to his life as a consequence. Likewise, President Maduro and Hugo Chavez before him have cracked down on corruption and the drug and human traffickers. The US and Western Europe are in decline. China is now the largest trading partner in the Americas. This is a showdown. Trump and his murderous gang, including fascists like Marco Rubio, are reviving the Monroe Doctrine, but it is dead and buried and cannot be revived. Too many have given their lives in the struggle to free us from the absurd white supremacist notion that we are in the USA's backyard. The murderous US military machine must be stopped. This founder and enabler of the ongoing Zionist genocide in Gaza, the horror of which has changed the world forever, must be brought to its knees. We can only do this with a strong and unified region-wide resistance. If we fail to stand up to this naked fascism now, it will surely engulf and consume us all. And this is by Gerald A. Pereira on behalf of the National Directorate Organization of the Victory of the People, OVP, Georgetown, Guyana. I think this was beautifully said, beautifully expressed. What do you think about Ms. Pereira's letter? Let's get Mr. Pereira on stage. Hello? Mr. Pereira, let me get you back on stage.
Could you hear me?
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you now. Yes, you're on. Yes, I
Yes.
just read your.
Yes, I heard
press
it.
release. Now tell us more. Yeah, tell us more of what you would like to explain. Give us a summary. What impressed you to write that?
Well, we looked at what is taking place in the region, and the latest is, a boat was attacked by the U.S. naval forces in the region, and two persons survived, but the commander of the vessel of the American warship was following Pete Hexet's order to finish them off, to kill.
Yes.
So they blew the boat was blown. The boat was blown up, and there were two survivors clinging to the wreckage.
Yes.
And the commander issued the order, which it was given to them by Hexet to eliminate them. So they fired again, and they killed the two survivors. Now that is a criminal act. It constitutes, even Democrats and Republicans are saying it's a war crime. It's a war crime. And we are seeing that.
Well, that was not done today. That was carried out on the first or second boat, right? And then they're finding out that that's what happened.
No, but what I'm saying, it's out that
He's out. Yes.
Yes.
So
what we are seeing is the United States regime, the US, the Trump fascist regime has no respect for international law, none whatsoever. They have no respect for our sovereignty and independence. And they're actually, I know it for a fact, they talk to CARICOM leaders like they're talking to children.
Yes.
And our leaders cave in. Marco Rubio, I mentioned this. Marco Rubio came to Guyana and he spoke like a governor.
Yes.
Stood next to the president. It was,
Yes.
as a Guyanese, it was embarrassing and it was assault on our dignity.
Yes.
He came in and
Yes.
had a lot to say and he went out. And I can see the same thing that in Trinidad, that they put a little carrot in front of Kamala and the UNC and dangle it, and they went along with it.
Yes. Now, I was telling them about, before you came on the live, about the fact that the 21st century began with Haiti with John Bertrand Aristide, when he was also unceremoniously removed from office, right? And then fast forward to 2009, when Manuel Zelaya of Honduras was also unceremoniously removed from office under Democratic Party, under Barack Hussein Obama and then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Now, wasn't Washington sending a message to the leaders of the region then that if you don't do our bidding, because what Manuel Zelaya was doing, and you can perhaps talk more about him, Mr. Pereira, was just to have land reform and minimum wage for the people, very modest reforms. He was not even any radical. Many people are saying that he was just a pragmatist. He wasn't any revolutionary leader, as it were. What would you say about that? What can our leaders do? Don't they know that if they don't toe the line with Washington, that they are going to be unceremoniously removed from office?
Yes, you're right. Manuel, Manuel, his party was, what you call it, the Liberal Party.
Yes.
As you said, he was no big anti-imperialist or leftist, Marxist or communist. And he came from a very wealthy family. So he initiated land reform. And because he was doing that, the big latifundis, the big landowners and the ranchers, with the backing of the United States, went after him. And he was removed.
Yes.
He was removed. But he was just, and this is what we keep saying, right? That in the Caribbean and the Americas, it's not about whether you're communist or liberal or what. You only have to affirm your dignity and your independence, your sovereignty, and refuse to be bullied by the US. Allow the US empire to dictate you, and they will remove you.
Yes. Yes.
And that is the point about Cuba, right? Cuba, the depression Cuba has nothing to do with Cuba being communist. The United States does business with China. That is communist, as a communist.
Yes.
You went to war with Vietnam, right? And fought for years. You lost thousands, but yet you do business with Vietnam and they're communists. They have Communist Party. Good. So the issue with Cuba is because Cuba refused, like the others, to surrender their dignity and their sovereignty to the empire.
Correct.
So if Cuba's capitalist tomorrow, and let's say there's a capitalist regime in Cuba tomorrow, and Cuba says, no, we want nothing, the US will not come in here, we will deal with other countries, they will still have the embargo on them.
Yes. Okay.
It's not ideological. It's about submission.
Yes. And let us also be clear that all about the capitalism and communism, Mr. Pereira. Now, you can also be capitalist and they still are against you. But you will be capitalist in terms of following the rules, caring about your citizens, wanting them to have, just like the liar of Honduras was doing. He was no communist, as you're saying.
Communist,
right?
Correct.
He was just trying to help the people to improve their lives and the United States government. So you can be capitalist also, and the United States will still be against you. Because if you're not following the neoliberal model of economic development, then they are going to get you out. And that is clear. But the question is, Mr. Pereira, that we have to really confront is that what choice do we have, or what choice do our leaders have? Let's try now to be empathetic as if we were in their position. If we stand up to Washington, then we have two choices, either to stand up and be, taken out, or be unalive. And that is what the leaders are facing. What can they do?
Well, on the last program, Margaret Kimberly
Yes.
Black Agenda report
Yes.
made a very important point. She said the alternative is revolutionary politics.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
our people,
Mhm.
you can mobilization and organization are two different things.
Yes.
You have to mobilize the people and put them in permanent organization. She also made a very important point that we pay very much attention to: the political education of our people to raise their consciousness.
Mhm.
But we are trapped in this Westminster type politics,
Yes.
where the only involvement of the people is every 4 years when they go to vote, and then that's it. But there is no permanent organization mobilization. We don't mobilize the people and create the necessary organization or mechanism in place that will allow the people to meet their contribution, to participate
Yes.
in the decision-making process.
Yes.
We treat the people as objects. So
Mhm.
the leaders and the people, the leaders are alienated from the people. Good. So
Mhm.
the alternative
Mhm.
is you have to involve the people in the process. Leaders by themselves will not be able to stand up to the pressure. When you have strong organization and your people are mobilized and then you can bring the people into the streets by the hundreds of thousands
Mhm. Mhm.
and send a
Yes.
message. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. I was just saying, Lion Champion is saying, so you're advocating cowardice? No, we're not. If you are afraid to die, don't be a leader. And that is well said. But guess what? It's easier said than done. And that is the whole
Yes.
point, that we like to say these things, but when we are confronted and when we are in the office and we have children and you have your whole life before you, ladies and gentlemen, let's not now be impractical. Let us be pragmatic. We're not saying that our leaders should not be brave and courageous. What we're saying, when you are confronted with life or death, many people opt for life, even when they're making compromise. Now, I believe what you're saying, Lion, but it takes a certain courage, which many of us, if the truth be told, do not possess. So maybe many of us should not be leaders. What do you say, Mr. Pereira?
I agree. I agree with you. Leaders have to lead by example, and
Yes.
leaders must lead from in front, not behind.
Yes.
I do not believe that leaders. You cannot tell your people to fight or prepare to defend the homeland or your country, and you are the type who, from the moment a shot is fired, will board the next flight out.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And I saw, look at what happened in Libya.
Yes.
Gaddafi's sons fought.
Yes.
They fought. Gaddafi
Yes.
said, I'm going nowhere. He said, I'm born in Libya and I'll die here. His sons fought.
Yes. Yes.
One of them was a commander of the Kamis Brigade. Until now, they
Yes.
can't find his body. He was incinerated. So
Mhm.
that is the type of leaders you look to. Right?
Correct. Correct.
The leaders in this region, their children are studying at Western institutions. They have their bank accounts. They have bank accounts in Western banks.
Mhm.
So they're all compromised. So they're
Mhm.
not, these people, I always refer to them. They are not, when I think of leadership, I think in the tradition of Marcus Garvey of servant leadership.
Mhm.
Right? I
Mhm.
look at the great Messiah, Jesus Christ, and I see
Yes.
servant leadership.
Yes.
Right? He didn't tell the disciples to wash his feet.
He washed theirs first.
He
Yes.
washed their feet. In
Mhm.
all his majestic glory, what he did. Now that is an example.
Of a
So
leader.
when you're a leader, it goes with humility, and you must ground with the people. The leader must embody the popular will, the will of the people.
Mhm. Now,
But
Mr. Pereira, we
Yeah.
are in a situation now where we are being militarized. I mean, that is for sure. I have been asking many people who come on the live, or sometimes, are we being militarized? Some people are saying no, but it's really hard not to see that we're now, if not fully militarized, we are, the region that is, we are partially militarized. Now,
Yeah.
what role do you think Trinidad and the Dominican Republic are playing in Washington's you know, game on the war on drugs? We know it's not a war on drugs, really, but in the militarization and the control of the region.
Well, we know it's not a war on drugs.
Yes.
What they're doing is, it's apart from, this is aimed at regime change. What they're doing, the U.S. military and naval buildup in the region, is aimed
Mm-hmm.
at regime change in Venezuela.
Yes.
And if you remove President Maduro and you succeed in Venezuela, then you will move on Cuba and then to Nicaragua. This
Mm-hmm.
is Rubio. People are calling them the neocons and all of that. This is I've gone beyond neoconservatives. This is downright. This is, use the term, describe them as fascists.
Yes.
Right. This is what they want to achieve. And after those three, if you get rid of those three governments, then you will get a very compliant CARICOM.
Mm-hmm.
Very compliant. We will be, the next thing, it has already started. They will put pressure on us. Pressure's being applied already on a number of
Mm-hmm.
countries to
Mm-hmm.
cut back the volume of trade and other economic relations that we have with the People's Republic of China.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is aimed at the phenomenal rise of China. The US, Trump wants a war with China. The Chinese are aware of this, right? As I pointed out, Trump wants to get that war with the Ukraine and Russia. He wants it to come to an end
Yes.
so that he can focus on China. Because let me tell you why. Because the Europeans are hell-bent on dragging the United States into war with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So if the US gets into a war with Russia, they will be at an absolute disadvantage when it comes to taking any fight to the
Mm-hmm.
Chinese.
Yes.
So Trump is trying to avoid that. It's not that Trump is any peacemaker. Trump is no peacemaker.
He's none.
He's not a peacemaker. Trump is a
Yes.
great deceiver. He's a deceiver.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this is dangerous, and it's not going to go down well. And leaders like those in the Dominican Republic have they've always gone along a lot with in Panama. They've been outposts of the United States for U.S. Bases and U.S. military bases and spying their radars and all of that. And Trinidad,
Mm-hmm.
history is going to judge them harshly.
Mm-hmm. Now, there are some people who are suggesting that there won't be a war. And why are we being alarmists? What would you say to that?
Well, you look at Trump. Trump can go anyway. You know, we've pointed to this on numerous occasions. Trump says one thing and then he does something different.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I know there are those who are saying that there's going to be no war, but we are not war. We don't want war.
Correct.
We certainly don't want a war.
Correct.
But at the same time, you have to be prepared for it.
Absolutely.
Because the word to use to describe Trump is a lunatic, you know? And Trump says one thing and then he does something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So it is neither here nor there. We just have to be vigilant and look at what is happening and be prepared for it.
Yes.
Now, I just want to say this quickly. There was a post, someone placed a comment saying, we are saying hands off Maduro, why not hands off Essequibo? You saw that.
No, I didn't see that one. But go ahead. You deal with it.
Yeah, well, I just want to make this very clear that, we have the great Chinese leader, Mao Zedong, wrote an excellent piece on contradictions and on the correct handling of contradictions. And all political activists, especially those who are fighting the empire, resisting the empire, should read it. You don't have to be a Marxist or a Maoist to read it.
Mm-hmm.
Mao Zedong divide contradictions as what he called the principal contradictions and secondary contradictions. So, given what is taking place in the region as an anti-imperialist, the principal contradiction here is between we in the Caribbean trying to defend our sovereignty against the empire.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The contradiction between Guyana and Venezuela right now, in this context, the territorial dispute between Guyana and Venezuela in this context is secondary. We'll place that on the back burner. Because why? First of all, the territorial dispute between Guyana and Venezuela over Essequibo is has its origins in colonialism.
Yes.
Good. When they came in and the colonial nations, the Western European nations came in here and carved up the lands. So as anti-colonialists and anti-imperialists, we have to take this into account.
Yes.
Now, I, as a Guyanese, believe that Essequibo, and I want to make this clear, that Essequibo belongs to Guyana, because it's like, once, I've mentioned this before, once the baby is out of the womb, you cannot stuff it back into the womb.
That is it. It.
But Venezuela is our neighbor, and we cannot change that dynamic.
Correct.
Therefore, Guyana, as a sovereign and independent nation state, at least on paper, right? Our leaders must have the courage to talk to Venezuela, enter into dialogue with the Venezuelan government, right? Without any external agency or power telling us who we should talk to and what to do, who we should not talk to and what to do.
Yeah.
Because the point is, the point is that America has always supported Venezuela against Guyana on the territorial issue.
Yes.
And even if Maduro is out, the territorial issue will still be there, and Venezuela will still claim Essequibo regardless of whether it's a left-wing anti-imperial or not. Because all Venezuelans believe that Essequibo belongs to Venezuela.
And Mr. Pereira, when have you ever seen Venezuela historically being aggressive to another state? Tell me what year? Give me the year, right? And the date when Venezuela was ever aggressive. I mean, we've always known Venezuela as a country, as one of our neighbors, more neighbor to you and Trinidad, but as one of our Caribbean neighbors who really has been kind to us, especially through the Petrocaribe Fund under President Hugo Chavez and also under Maduro after he died. So I don't know of any recent history in my mind when Venezuela is this belligerent state. And mind you, we have our combats, because even families, we have our warfares or verbal combats, and we say, I'm the bigger one, I'm going to hit you and all of that stuff. And Maduro might have said things that should not have been said, but we know at the end of the day, he's not going to do anything. Go ahead.
That's right. I agree with you. At the end of the day, he's not going to do anything. It's interesting because only today I was reading about Rex LaSalle, who was an army officer in the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, that when they carried out the mutiny and supported the Black Power uprising in Trinidad. He died not too long ago in Finland. And do you know when they had the mutiny under Eric Williams, when the military mutiny and sided with the Black Power demonstrators?
Yes.
Venezuela dispatched warships off the coast of Trinidad.
Wow.
Yes, Venezuela
Wow.
Long. This is long before Maduro and Hugo Chavez.
Yes.
This was when Venezuela was in the camp of the imperialists, the U.S. imperialists.
Yes.
Venezuela dispatched warships to make sure that the Black Power uprising did not succeed.
My God.
Yes, and that the mutineers did not succeed.
Yes.
This is on Derek Williams. And the U.S. Dispatched naval forces with 2,000 troops aboard.
Yes.
And that was in the
Mr. Pereira, there was. Yes.
So that's the only time. The only time I know that Venezuela has
ever been aggressive.
Yeah, yes. And that was when Venezuela was an ally of the United States. Good.
I got you. Very well said. And thank you. That's a very important information. Yes. Now, the status of forces agreement. There was a very interesting article written in the Trinidad Daily Express, which I think I commend that writer for, and I think I want to share aspects of it with us, with our listening audience, to see what some of the things that it entailed, and for you, Mr. Pereira, afterwards to comment on it. So let me share my screen and just bring forward something that the writer here. Truth is a casualty of war. And it's a letter that was written in the Trinidadian Daily Express. Let me see where it is. It's not being shown. Let me close this here. Okay, yeah. Can you see the guy? Can you see? Okay. So we have here, he's talking about the status of forces agreement. The status of forces agreement, SOFA, between the USA and Trinidad was first signed in 2007 under the People's National Movement, the PNM. It has been renewed several times in 2009, 13, and 2024 under both the PNM and UNC. There is no current expiration date. Interesting. Now, listen to what he's saying. Articles of the SOFA agreement give the USA military much latitude in how it conducts its affairs in TNT. For example, the 2013 agreement stated inter alia that one, listen to this now, in the exercise of its sovereignty, the government of Trinidad and Tobago waives its right to exercise criminal and civil jurisdiction over United States personnel for any actions when the United States determines that such acts were taken in the course of official duties. That's interesting. And number 2 says vessels and aircraft owned or operated by the United States Department of Defense shall not be subject to the payment of landing, parking, or port fees, pilotage or pilotage charges, and lighterage or harbor dues at facilities owned and operated by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And United States contractors shall not be liable to pay any tax or similar charge assessed with Trinidad and Tobago in connection with the activities under this agreement. Importation of equipment, property, materials, and so on shall be exempt from any license, other restrictions, customs duties, taxes, or any other charges assessed within Trinidad and Tobago. Now, Mr. Pereira, what do you think about that in terms of they're not going to be liable to this and they're not going to be liable for that? What do you think, Mr. Pereira? Oh, he's not here. Hello?
Yeah. Could you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. This is what the United States, this is exactly what they do around the world. The same thing happened in Pakistan,
mm-hmm.
where U.S. military personnel killed Pakistani residents,
mm-hmm.
and Pakistan was not able to do anything about it.
Yes.
You know, the U.S. was able to move the personnel out of the country. Now, and Pakistan is a military power.
Mm-hmm.
Pakistan is armed with nuclear weapons. But there's a reason for that, because the Pakistani, I don't want to go down there, the Pakistani intelligence and the Americans collaborated with Al-Qaeda in the early days of the war against the then Soviet Union, you know, and they worked together. So when if the Americans killed one of the citizens, Pakistan couldn't do anything about it, because Pakistan collaborated. Pakistan collaborated with the Americans in killing their own citizens who took up, like the Pakistan Taliban.
Mhm.
There's two Taliban. I'm not talking about the Afghan Taliban, the Pakistan Taliban.
Correct.
The Americans and the Haqqani. The Haqqani network. The Haqqani network in Pakistan, the Americans and the Pakistani military and intelligence went after the Haqqani network. So if you're working with the Americans to kill your own citizens, and then an American military personnel turns around and kill a Pakistani citizen, what are you going to do about it?
And rape them. And rape the women too. Right?
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is that if you read Chalmers Johnson's book, The Sorrows of Empire, Militarism, Secrecy, and the End of the Republic, Chalmers Johnson mentioned the fact that, because he was a Japanese expert, a scholar, right?
That's right.
And he talked about Okinawa and what the United States and South Korea and what the United States soldiers have done to many women and children on the island. And as you're saying, killing people, just riding, driving recklessly on the road and killing loads of people and being able, as you're saying, to walk away with the law not being able to do anything to them. So this is what is going to happen to Trinidad and the citizens of Tobago if this war continues.
Yeah,
go ahead, Mr.
You're right, my brother. Let me give you an example. The U.S. military base in Okinawa. For years, I met activists from Okinawa. The people of Okinawa voted over and over for the United States to pull out of Okinawa.
Yes.
And they would not leave. Mm-hmm. They would not leave. U.S. soldiers raped citizens of Okinawa. There's a history of this. You can Google, you'll find a lot of information on this. But
yes.
The U.S. is in Syria, looting the oil in Syria. The U.S. is in part of Iraq, doing the same. And the Iraqi parliament passed a number of, in the parliament, resolution after resolution was passed for the United States to leave. The United States is a global bully. And one day the bully eventually gets humble. Yes. And it's going to happen soon.
Yes.
Empires reach a point when they believe that they don't realize that they are going down, and they just carry on the same way until they collapse. It happened with Rome.
Right. Absolutely.
It happened with Rome.
Yes. And we just want to look at the effects of war.
So what I'm saying is, getting back to that. Yes. So when you listen to that, what you read there, I am convinced that our leaders are misleaders. I don't think they really understand what constitutes sovereignty and independence. You cannot say you're an independent and sovereign nation and allow military bases, foreign military bases in your country.
You can't.
You cannot. You can't. In 1969, when they had the Libyan revolution, Gaddafi kicked out the British and American bases. And the then Soviet Union approached him to put a military base. And he said no.
Yes.
He said no.
Yes.
That would be a violation of our sovereignty and independence. He said we are non-aligned. We cannot kick out one set and then bring it. And we need to understand this. Well, at that time, you had the Soviet Union in existence, but of course the dynamics have changed. And when you have the United States that is just bullying everyone in the Caribbean and bullying everyone, Trump was threatening to invade Nigeria. Yeah, this is Trump. Now he's off of that. But
yes,
I think we need to understand this. That there's a lot, the Western corporate media is good at lying. They're very good at that. The propaganda, the false propaganda that they put out. Now, Venezuela has a population of roughly 30 million.
Yes.
and their defense forces are strong, and they have the popular militia, the armed militia. Now, I just read a piece that came in that there's an area, I can't remember the name, just near to Venice, close to Trinidad, where the majority of the population there are Afro-Venezuelans, African Venezuelans.
Yes.
And they have issued a statement saying that they are going to fight any invasion.
Yes. What we are hearing, though, from
the point I'm making is why Maduro must go. Maduro was elected. Maduro won the elections.
Yes.
This thing about Maduro rigged the elections and all that is absolute nonsense.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Delegates, observers from all over the world, from the ANC, from all over Africa, South America, Central, people went there. Hundreds of observers. They went to the polling station. They met with the people. The opposition had declared that they'll win the elections before the elections, the counting had started. This is what they do. Now, if Trump decides not to go in, it is because it is not. Look at Gaza. They bombed Gaza. Look at what they did in Gaza and Yemen. And they still cannot subjugate Hamas and the resistance.
That is what I'm saying. That is what I wanted to address now. The fact that I think that's what they're trying to avert, the bombing, because I think that's what Trump wants to do. Now, if that happens and all these Trinidadians on the line thinking that this is a joke, you're thinking that this is a joke if they begin to bomb. If they begin to bomb and the devastation that can wreak on Trinidad and Tobago, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, this, and of course Venezuela, of course. Yes. But what Mr. Pereira, they're saying this morning in some of the papers coming from Trinidad that the radar system that has been installed in Tobago has the capacity to view things happening on the ground in Venezuela. Did you read that?
Yes.
Yes. So this means, therefore, that they are going to be launching drone attacks.
Trinidad has allowed itself. Trinidad is an aircraft carrier. Trinidad is part of it. Trinidad is allowing, they've joined with the United States to carry out acts of aggression, against Venezuela. And if you're going to do that, then Venezuela has, of course, a legitimate right to self-defense, and they are going to fire missiles at you.
Yes.
Don't believe that the U.S. is going to use there to attack Venezuela, and Venezuela is just going to fold their hands and say, well, we can't do anything about it.
Yes.
And I just saw a comment there, which is very important. It followed up with the last time that we had this discussion.
Yes.
It's from a brother who has a symbol there of the Lion of Judah and so,
Oh, let me see if I can find it again. Go ahead. I'll start. Yes.
He was replying to one Ali from Trinidad. And, it's interesting what the brother said, because I keep pointing this out.
Yes, it's here. Yes.
Yeah. Lion Champion is saying to Kishan Ali, go back to your homeland India and keep your rancid mouth out of, black people's business. I just want to say this. I've pointed this out, that there is a group in the Caribbean. I have identified them before, of Indian ethnic supremacists. Not all Indians.
I know.
But there's I'm not saying that because but I'm being specific here. There's an Indian ethnic supremacist group in Trinidad, in Guyana, and some of them are based in the United States, in New York. One of them is advocating for Guyana to become, some of them are advocating for Guyana to become a state of America. They actually form a party to contest the last elections here, but they didn't get off the ground. They want Guyana to become a state. Well, my ancestors, right? My ancestors who were captured and enslaved did not fight for our freedom to hand it over to the very people who enslaved us, the others, who defended slavery. So it's not going to happen in our lifetime.
Yes.
We will resist that. But having said that, this group have referred to President Maduro as one of them who's a prolific writer, keeps referring to President Maduro as Mad Maduro.
Mm-hmm.
But they're silent on Trump. They're silent on Trump. This group is saying nothing about Trump. I mentioned
Yes.
the Trinidad High Commissioner, the Trinidad representative, the Trinidadian ambassador to CARICOM, defending Trump, defending the regime. So
Yes.
it is interesting. And I think
Yes.
what the Rastafari brother is trying to point out, I understand what he's saying. I got the message and I agree with him.
Yes.
That's all I can say.
Yes. And this commenter is making a good point. He said Trinidad has always had disagreements with Venezuela over water, access for fishing and oil, but at the same time, diplomacy was always used. Go ahead, Mr. Pereira, addressing this comment. Very intelligent comment.
That's right. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
For years.
Yeah. Yeah.
For years.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is what we are not saying here, ladies and gentlemen, that we are always going to be in agreement. Because once you live with even your spouse or children or family, there's always some amount of disagreement because we're not the same, right? And we're going to have different needs and we have different, goals and whatever, right? But
That's
the
right.
thing is to be able to sit down and talk about what is bothering us rather than getting up every day. What if we were to get up every day and fight?
That's right. Dialogue.
Yes. Yes.
For us to sit down and talk.
Yes.
Yes. And there's a thing we keep pointing out. You look at, I listened to the Chinese leaders' speech.
Yes.
About this the new policy civilizational dialogue and so on. You look at the Chinese civilization, China, you check the history of the Chinese. The Chinese were invaded by Western powers.
Yes.
We know about the Opium Wars, when the British carried opium into China.
China.
Good. And created all those people who became opium addicts and so on. Now, the Chinese and African civilizations, if you read many of the African scholars on Kemet, ancient Egypt and so, you will see that Africans welcome people from other civilizations or cultures in, right? It was dialogue, it was cooperation, it was exchange. It was what you call an encounter of civilization, right? The European is the other way. It's a clash of civilization.
Yes.
Something done. Good.
Yes.
The West Europeans, the Anglo-Saxons, are the ones that have destroyed everything. What they do not understand, they cannot comprehend, they destroy. And that's the history.
Yes. Yes. Now, I also, there's a very important point I wanted to raise. The protest that was carried out apparently yesterday by David Abdullah of Trinidad. Did you hear anything about? Yeah, did you hear anything about it?
For social justice, yes.
Yes, from the social. How was it successful yesterday?
Well, I saw some pictures. They had quite a number of people there.
Yes.
That showed up for that.
Yes. Yes.
But that will be just numbers that you will be able to count off your hands, just like that. I'm talking about we need to bring thousands into the street. That is what we need to do.
Yes.
We're seeing there. So, brother Andrew, I always believe that if you're going to bring people out for demonstration, whether it's in front of the embassy, the US embassy or what, I think you should come out. You should only come out if you have, good numbers. Hundreds.
Yes.
Right? I think taking 25 and 40 and 50 persons is counterproductive. and it just exposes you, right, to the enemy to target you, and it shows your weakness that you know. So
Mm-hmm.
any good military strategist, if you're a seasoned political activist, you will only go there in huge numbers,
Mm-hmm. You know,
right?
I am
Or don't
sensing.
go. I believe that, unless it's a
Yes,
domestic. I believe this, because
yes,
the first thing they do is they come out, they start taking pictures of your faces. And I have no problem with that.
yeah, yeah,
I do that. And
yeah.
I don't get visas, I don't get transit visas or anything. And I've said on your program before, the only visa I'm looking for is the visa to God's kingdom. I am not
Amen.
looking for a US visa
Mm-hmm.
or a
Mm-hmm.
visa to any one of these to the United States and its allies.
Yes, yes. Now, one of the things about us, and I want everybody to listen to this, is the fact that one of the reasons for which, and I hope I don't sound cynical, that I think that the enemies are going to win, is that our people are hypocritical. So they are the ones who will be saying, "Oh yes," and probably sort of energetically saying, "Yes, we will come, Mr. Pereira. We're going to show up tomorrow, and we're going to march with you." And tomorrow, when you go there, they don't show up. That's one. And sometimes they're saying one thing before you, and they say another thing behind your back. How do we deal with this hypocrisy? Generally speaking, Mr. Pereira, the majority never are the ones who are on the side of what is right. They shout and say yes and yeah and all of that, but when the rubber hits the road, they do not show up. What do you have to say on that?
You know, you are right, but the how do people reach that point? You
Yeah.
know, uh, we live in a world. Our societies have been so conditioned
Yes.
by an ideology that
Mm-hmm.
places so much emphasis on the material
Yes.
and on this world. So noble things, noble principles, we don't pay attention to.
We
We
don't.
live in this. We believe that this life is everything. You know, we are conditioned, so nobody wants to get their skin bruised. You
Yes.
know, no one is prepared to make sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
If our ancestors were thinking like that, we would have been in slavery.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, the African today and the African of yesterday, Africans were not afraid of death.
Mm-hmm.
In the African worldview, in the African wor- belief system, no one was the Zulu warrior was not afraid of death.
Mm-hmm.
Death
Mm-hmm.
is the door to another world. It's like it's just you go through into another world. And
Yes.
that is what drives the resistance in Lebanon by Hezbollah, by Hamas, by the resistance fighters and the Houthis.
Mm-hmm.
That this world, be in it, yet not of it. Live in it, but don't go by its ways and its values.
Correct.
You know? And we have to fight for something. That is what we have. And you know, to get back there, my brother, that's why we place emphasis. Real change. And this is where a lot of these political parties and movements go wrong. The change for them is seen purely as socio-economic political.
Yes.
And we leave out a very fundamental aspect of change.
Yes.
Spiritual.
Yes.
Spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am a revolutionary, but I believe that the spiritual revolution is important. It's important. And what is
Yeah.
it about? To kill that obsession with with materialism.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
obsession about the worship of things.
Yes.
And
Yes.
when you find the real purpose and meaning of life, then you will fight for the truth and justice. You will
Absolutely.
fear nothing. You will fear
Yes.
nothing. And we
Yes.
have to instill this in our young people. We are not doing it.
Yes.
You can't prepare people to fight who have been so wrapped up in carnival culture.
Correct.
You
Correct.
know, whether
And
it's
sports.
carnival in Trinidad or Mashramani. Our
Yes.
people will come out into the streets in the thousands to wine and
And
grind.
sports. Yes.
And what they do, whining and grinding, is nothing to do with African culture.
Correct.
Nothing whatsoever.
Correct. Correct.
That has nothing to do with African culture.
Okay.
So
Now what? Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Pearl. Go ahead.
So it's decades of neglect. We have
Yes.
done not put anything to raise our people's consciousness, to arm the spirit and the mind,
Yes.
as Malcolm
Yes.
X and Steve Biko said.
Yes.
Because people
Now,
don't know Steve Biko was a theologian.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think about the recent Prime Minister-elect of St. Vincent and the Grenadines? We're seeing now where we are moving from what you call the left liberal parties to the right-wing parties. And Trump has just recently, as I told you, and the audience, threatened Honduras that if they vote for the current president, Prime Minister, that's
Yes.
right, Castro, that he is going to withhold funding, economic aid from Honduras. Do you think that the St. Vincent recently elected Prime Minister is going to go along with what we see Kamala Persad-Vicessor and the Dr. Irfan Ali and the Andrew Holness of Jamaica doing?
Well, there was a lot. There was a lot going on in terms of a lot. The campaign to remove Gonzalez started some time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But in relation to the new prime minister, the NDP in St. Vincent was part of a formation. I don't know if it still exists, called the International Democratic Union.
Okay.
Which was a sort of it was formed by Ronald Reagan, Helmut Kohl, at the time Chancellor of Germany, and Margaret Thatcher, that brought together right-wing parties, because they actually broke with what was called they wanted to distinguish themselves from the Liberal International.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like how you have the Socialist International and the
Yes.
PNP, or the Barbados Labour Party. So you have this Liberal International, then you have the Christian Democrats. The Christian Democrats,
yes.
International. Well, the Christian Democrat International is now called the Centrist International. But they wanted, Thatcher and Reagan wanted parties that were committed to right-wing parties that were committed to neoliberal economics. And you had Eddie Seaga party, the GLP joining, right? That and some other parties in the region. So I think the NDP at the time, it was under Mitchell. At the time.
Yes.
And I think the NDP was part of that formation. So the NDP is not, it is not a center-left party. It's not left and it's not center-left. If you're going to locate it on the ideo-political spectrum, I think there might be some way center-right.
Yeah, well, Kamala was partying when he won.
Yeah.
I understand she was partying the entire day. And coincidentally, their parties are both yellow color. They color yellow.
That's right. So I expect that the new government in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are going to go along with the with the Americans.
Yes, and one of the things
I can't see them standing up, because we're saying now, for those, my brother.
Yes.
Francis Fukuyama, in his book, The End of History and the Last Man Standing, this glorification of liberal democracy and the market. Now, we were told with the collapse of the Eastern Bloc and the Soviet Union, that was the end of communism. Right? Now, Trump and these fascist elements in his regime, they're talking about going after the communists. I thought the communists you had finished with the communists a long time ago. So if They're calling Mamdani a communist. If as you pointed out earlier, if like President Zedila, if you speak about basic land reforms,
Correct.
and about raising your people's standard of living,
Correct.
and to challenging the concentration of wealth
Wealth.
in a few hands, you're labeled a communist.
Absolutely. That's what it is. That's what it is.
So it's just, the whole thing is just absurd. But what we are seeing, if you're going to threaten a nation by withholding aid, then what is democratic about that?
It is not democratic.
There's nothing democratic about it.
It is not democratic. It is not democratic.
That's right. And it shows that you have, as we keep pointing out, that you have no respect for the independence and sovereignty of these states and the will of the people.
Yes. Yes. But I think that the people, except for those who are conscious, which are, by the way, as I'm suggesting, we do act symbolically, but when it comes on to stand up for that which is right, we don't. And that's a problem. The people too, we are the problem in the sense that we do not stand up for what is right, though the heavens fall. Look at this live that you're giving such great information and empowering the minds of Caribbean citizens, and how many people are showing up. But if we're talking about, some nonsense and, and entertaining the Caribbean audience, you would see thousands of people on this live right now.
Yeah, that's what
that is what I'm seeing. And that's what I'm saying, Mr. Pereira. I don't see a bright future for people because something is wrong. But if 700 people are on the live now, we know, you would see more joining in. Wherever the crowd goes, they follow. And that is, and they follow mindlessly. And that is what I'm seeing right now. So we're blaming our leaders, but how much different are we from our leaders?
My brother, I think when you look in the region, there are two things that have contributed tremendously to the paralysis, what I call the paralysis of the spirit of our people.
Yes.
And that is this dumbing down culture. You notice that the music, I think it's a universal. One university lecture at UWM, Mona pointed it out in a beautiful article, a Rastafari brother.
Yes.
The music of Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and Burning Spear and Uri.
Yes. Yes.
This generation is not aware. They don't listen to that.
Yes.
So the music that is being, that was a music that used the art form music to raise our people's consciousness. That type of music. Today, the music that we have, it's aimed at, it's nothing that is uplifting spiritually, morally, and anything. You listen to the songs that we sing, songs that are disrespectful of our women.
Yes. Yes.
When you listen to it, you will want to know if those who wrote those words, the lyrics, came out of women. That type of counter-revolutionary culture, that counter-revolutionary type of what we're seeing has contributed. The other thing is some of these right-wing evangelical / and Pentecostal churches. Now, those churches, Martin Luther King addressed them. He dealt with this. Dr. King was a great thinker.
He was.
Now, those churches treat the problems that individuals face or are confronted with as personal. They do not address the problems that we face as systemic and institutional. Dr. King once said that the sins of a society are the sum total of the sins of all of us.
That is it. That is it.
So if a person is unemployed and they're trying to get a job. You might be living in an area and they don't have much jobs. So you're trying to get a job and you can't get it. And the pastor says to you, he keeps telling you, just give and give and give.
Yeah.
And you will get a job. But that's unrealistic because you have to look at the structure.
Yes.
You have to look at the structure. And we have to understand that they're different. You have to address that issue that is systemic. And the church must speak up. The prophets of the biblical tradition spoke out against the injustices and the oppression at the time.
Yes.
They didn't turn to those who follow in them and said that your problems are spiritual. God sent Moses to Pharaoh and said, let my people go. That was a concrete political act. He didn't say, oh, let them suffer. You know, let them suffer this world. The liberation is purely spiritual. No. And we said this, God is the God of history. He's the God of liberation. He's the God of justice and truth. And God moves in history. He's not the God that created the universe and wind it up like a clock and left it to work by himself. God intervenes through us to reshape this world that he created.
Yes. You know, one of the things
and that's
is
what
that
the liberation theology preach. Yes, we have spiritual oppression, but we also have economic and political oppression. You cannot compartmentalize the word of God and just take pieces of it, what suit you. And it doesn't work like that. So what I'm saying is we have to preach this message of liberation. There was a time when the church was doing this. I don't know if you recall the 70s and 80s. We had the Caribbean Contact newspaper. We had outstanding preachers, reverends like Reverend Philip Elder, Dr. Idris Hamid from Trinidad and Tobago, you know, who
but
were
at that time, Mr. Per, our people were more spiritual. Right now, I do videos, and when I talk about the spiritual component, you have people, oh, I'm not coming back on your platform because you talked about religion, or you connected the dots, right? Just give us the news. I said, what is the news? Just give us the commentary. They don't understand that all of these things are interconnected. They think that I'm in my political world, I stay there, and there is no connection to the spiritual realm. And they don't understand that most of these organizations to which our politicians belong have spiritual components.
Correct.
They don't understand that.
Right.
And that wield a lot of power. Look at Trump and the Project 2025. That's an entire spiritual religious document.
That's right.
And our people are not understanding. They're just thinking that they should just stay there in a world that they don't even know what world they live in. They're confused.
That's right.
And it's very sad. That's the battle, that's the warfare that you and I are fighting. Go ahead, Mr.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. Yes. So we have so this is where we're heading to, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving into a war. Now, Mr. Pero, we're talking about multipolarity, and that is something that, we have discussed. But let us talk more about it. What is this multipolar world that we say that we're living in? Are we really living in a multipolar world?
Well, I think it's emerging, but we see that the hegemon, the U.S. empire, is resisting and trying to prevent the emergence of this multipolar world. And I don't think those in the White House and those around Trump and other U.S. so-called think tanks, other than people like Ron Paul of the Ron Paul Institute and so, understand what is taking place on the International Action Center and people like the LaRouche Foundation, that the world has changed.
Yes.
And we're seeing the role of course, BRICS. I am not saying that BRICS is actually counter hegemony as such, but it is playing that type of role, but it's also emerging as an alternative. And I think that countries, small countries, countries that are trying to move away, trying to dismantle neocolonialism after so many years of flag and anthem independence, like the countries of the Sahel states, of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, they were able to kick out the French, and they are moving with other countries who do not dictate to you.
Yes.
They have entered into partnerships with the Russians, with the Chinese, and some of the African countries are moving with India. Now, we might have whatever you want to say about the Chinese, or you have about the Russians, or about the Indians. They do not, even the Turks, even Turkey, they don't come into your country and tell you what to do. They don't come in and threaten you and bully you. This is the difference. You know, in Guyana, I listen to the ambassadors of the Western countries.
Yes.
And when they speak, you will believe that Guyana is still a colony. When I listen to the Chinese ambassador, I don't hear that. I don't get that message. When I listen to, well, you don't even hear much from the Russian ambassador. The Cubans, nobody, they don't interfere in our affairs. But the Americans and the British, they comment on everything, our elections, everything they talk about. Right? But while they are talking to us about this and that, and how we should strengthen our political institutions and our legal, the courts, the justice system, they are the enablers of genocide in Gaza. You know?
Yes.
The double standards and the hypocrisy. And no one stands up and calls them out.
Yes.
Only a few. So what I'm saying is, with this emerging multipolar world that you see a number of countries, you have Russia, China, India, Brazil, South Africa, other countries that are joining, you have Iran and so. And it gives a breathing space and a lifeline to countries that want to disengage, to remove out of the orbit of the French and the Americans, the French in Africa and the Americans in this part of the world. And I think that is one of the reasons that Trump, this whole thing about this so-called war and drugs in the region, right, is really aimed at pressuring governments, because, you know, China has big investments in Venezuela. Venezuela has large reserve, the world's one among countries with the large reserves of oil, gas, not to mention the mineral resources. And Trump made a joke about that. He said we could have got that. We should have gone in there a long time and take that. He makes no oil. Yes. So, I mean, you know, there's a saying, we have a Caribbean saying, mouth open, story jump out. Yes, he said that. So,
yes, he did.
No, this has nothing to do with war and drugs. This is, first, try to intimidate them, put pressure on Maduro, so that maybe the people will rise up and remove Maduro. But you are not going to see that. You're not going to see that. So Mr. Trump can do two things. He can bomb, select certain targets in Venezuela, like what he did in Iran, but didn't do anything, no real damage. Or he can put his boots on the ground, and it's going to be like Vietnam, because if you know this region, once Trump commits troops to ground fight in Venezuela, there will be forces from Colombia and from Brazil that are going to cross over into Venezuela to fight the Americans.
Yeah,
because people are already talking about that.
Yes. What we don't
talking about that.
Yes, what we don't want to have, which if that happens, is going to be a lot of casualty, and that is what is going to be very painful for the region.
That's right. We don't want that.
You know?
The war in the region. I
Yes.
I saw an interesting thing about President Ali. Did you
Yes.
see it?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Ali in Guyana is silent, but
Mhm.
basically silent about this whole issue. Guyana does not benefit if Maduro is removed. Well, that's interesting because Guyana's silent. Guyana believe the government in Guyana think they're clever. They believe
Mhm.
that by keeping quiet, we don't know what's going on, but we know what is happening. The other thing is, this is what I pointed out, that let's say Maduro is removed.
Mhm.
A right-wing government in Venezuela will go for Essequibo,
Right. Right.
and the Americans will do nothing about it.
But they don't have to go for it because the US will already controls Venezuela and US controls Guyana.
That's right. That's right. This is correct. That's what we pointed out. That
Yeah.
if the US is already in Guyana, so
Right.
if they go into Venezuela, they'll have control of Guyana and Venezuela.
Yeah. And Trinidad.
Yeah,
And Trinidad. Yeah.
And it will and the three countries will be managed by three colonial governors.
Correct. Because let me say,
for calling
yes.
themselves presidents and prime minister.
Yes. And the people who live in Tobago, very wonderful island of Tobago, notice that this massive installation, military installation, that radar installation in Tobago, once they are there, they never leave. They are going to be there permanently, even after the war, if there's any war with Venezuela.
Go ahead, Mr. They will not leave. That's what we said. That's what they did in Iraq.
Pakistan.
They did it in Iraq.
Yes.
And in Pakistan, they did that.
Yes.
They will not leave once they put it in Okinawa. And you have powerful countries that they're in. I mean, imagine the US is in a place like Iraq. And in Iraq, you have all these popular mobilization brigades, armed militias, right? And they are firing rockets at the US bases to get the US out.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're fighting the US to eject the US, to push them out of Iraq by using missiles and rocket-propelled grenade launchers, you in Trinidad and Tobago is going to get the Americans out by carrying placards?
Yeah. And also, we have to say to Mr. Pereira, and I'm not always on the racist card thing, but we have to say very clearly here that many of these Marines, white Southern Marines, are very racist. And when they go to the Caribbean and see all these women of color and other people, they are going to think they can do whatever they want with us. What do you think, Mr. Pereira? Because that's what happens in Okinawa and all these other countries.
Of course.
Go ahead, Mr. Pereira.
Yeah. Well, that is how conquerors and will-be conquerors behave.
Yes.
You come into
Yes. And because they're also poor and they're powerless. Because they're also poor and powerless, they think they can exercise their power on some so-called third world people.
That's right. Yeah. That is how they operate. That is how Western, not only the United States, the British did the same. Mm-hmm. I mean, look what the British did in Kenya. Today, the people descendants of the Mau are still fighting.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
So that is true. That is how invading armies behave. Mm-hmm. The US, they're not a liberating force. The Cubans went into Angola to fight the apartheid regime, the South African troops.
Yes.
And the Cubans went there as a fight alongside the liberation, the freedom fighters. And they were welcome. The Cubans didn't go as some army to conquer. It's a difference between an army that goes in to help with liberation and those who go in to conquer. The American army, the United States Army, is not going into Venezuela to liberate nothing other than the oil and gas.
Yes. Yes.
so that they can
And whether
plunder
they
it.
go into yes, and whether they go into conquer or not to conquer. Remember, even under the Jews, who were God's chosen people, where even when they had wars, they did commit sins. You know, because wars are not what they, it's not the thing that you want to do, because it always has some amount of casualty, right? Rape and pillaging and plundering, even when you go there with good intentions, because
Yeah.
that is what it's all about. Because when a soldier leaves his wife or his girlfriend and he's on a shore and he's by himself, then
Yeah.
he's going to conquer the person that he sees right before him, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not what we want to happen, but that let us be practical.
Definitely not.
Is what
My
happened.
brother, there is this Mr. Ali that just
Yes,
posted a thing about Africa.
yes,
I would just like to on Africa. Did you see that?
yeah,
You
it's
think
there. Yes, if Africa, so nice.
yeah, but I'd like to respond to that. I
Yes,
lived
go
in
ahead.
Africa. I lived in Africa, and I went to quite a number of African countries. And I can tell you this: I have went to some countries in Africa, in some areas. I went an area in Niger.
Mm-hmm.
And Niger is considered a very poor country. And I went into certain areas in Niger where you, Mr. Tucker, can leave your house open
Yes,
with your money and everything on the table, and you can go away for 15 hours, and when you come back, no one will touch it.
yes,
I'm
yes,
dealing here. They might be poor economically,
yes,
but that is
but
not really.
decent.
We'll get to that.
Yes,
But they're morally superior, morally rich, spiritually and ethically rich.
yes,
The other thing is, had it not been for Africa, and people like Mr. Ali need to know this, as Walter Rodney pointed out in How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, and even
mm-hmm.
Eric Williams in Capitalism and Slavery,
About slavery.
had it
Mm-hmm.
not been for the trade in captured Africans and the resources that were plundered from Africa, there would have been no Western capitalist development.
Correct. We built it. We built it.
We
Yeah,
built it.
we built it. Yeah.
And I make no apologies. All the ethnic groups and races that came to the Caribbean made their contribution. But
Mm-hmm.
I will not allow anyone to marginalize or minimize the great contribution made by Africans
Yes.
to what is called Caribbean civilization today, if you want to call it, right?
Yes.
I will not.
Yes.
Good?
Yes.
And as much as indentureship was a brutal system, it cannot be placed on the same level with the enslavement of Africans. Finally, every time a great African leader rises up, or Africa and decide that they're going down a path to take control of Africa's resources, right? Strategic sectors, strategic resources, such as the diamonds, the gold, all the minerals, to make political independence a reality, real, go beyond the flag and anthem, to achieve economic independence. The Western powers kill our leaders.
They do. Mm-hmm.
Good. They did it to Lumumba, they did it to Kwame Nkrumah,
Yes.
they removed Ahmed Ben Bella, Modibo Keita in Mali, they did it to all, to Thomas Sankara, to Muammar Gaddafi.
Yes.
Right? Libya had one of the highest standard of living, the highest in Africa and the world.
That is for sure.
Free medical care, free education, subsidized food. He stopped that. And these white demons, these Anglo-Saxon demons, they destroyed that country. They kill every great African leader. And now we have 3 leaders who are pursuing the path to achieve economic justice and to decolonize, completely decolonize the struggle to decolonize. Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, Abdurrahman in Niger, and Boate in Mali. They are going after them, trying to destabilize those countries. We don't get a breathing space.
Yes,
we don't get a breathing space
to
emerge. fully.
Yes. Yes.
Because our enemy is imperialism.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to recognize this, that the
Mm-hmm.
minute you get a united Africa, if all the African countries were to say together in one voice that we will shut off everything to the West, for 1 week, the West will collapse. Africa
Why don't you?
sustains the world economy. The global
Yes.
capitalist economy is sustained by Africa.
Yes. Yes. Why don't we take the same approach to Mr. Pereira, like in people in Trinidad, maybe throughout the region, not only in Trinidad, but throughout the region, Guyana, Jamaica, not show up to work and see who does their job, and say,
Exactly.
no, we'll not go back to work until the war and all these plans are suspended and canceled.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's now time for us to show these civil disobedience, these acts of civil disobedience, so that they can listen to us. Because when
That's
we
right.
protest, they don't do anything, right? But when we shut down the economy and they're feeling the effects of our lack of work, then the slaves did that, didn't they? Sometimes.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
burn down
right.
the plantation,
That's
burn
right.
down plantations, you know, so they
But,
it affected their pockets. Go ahead, Mr. Pereira.
Yeah. That's right. They enslaved. The moment the Africans were captured, they resisted.
Yes.
They had
Yes.
ways of throwing spanners in the wheel and
Yes.
doing all sort of things, you know.
Yes.
They resisted. So this, one of the things we need to understand, especially our young people, is, you know, slavery didn't come to an end because some benevolent white person got up one morning and said, we're going to free the slaves. No. African agency. It was African resistance that brought slavery to an end.
Yes. Yes.
So we don't, you know, so this thing about, because, you know, they have this thing, well, okay, we enslaved you, but it was we who freed you. No. You did not. You
They didn't want to free us. They didn't want to free us.
They did not want to, because Britain had abolished slavery in Britain legally, but they kept it going for 50 more years in their colonies.
Right. Attis Atlas is saying there's no BRICS without India people or Indian people need Indian. There's no BRICS without India. People need to make up their mind. How would you respond to that person, Mr. Pereira?
Well, India gets a lot of its oil from India gets a lot of oil from Venezuela.
They do.
And you know, BRICS. Well, India is a very important player in BRICS. But then I saw a comment there earlier. Prime Minister Modi.
Yes.
He is not consistent.
Go ahead, Mr. Pereira.
He's not a very consistent and reliable so far player. There are times I remember he went to, when Trump was in his first term, he went to the United States, and there was a big thing where Trump shared the podium with him, and they had this thing with Howdy Modi and all of that, right? And we have to, you know, as I said earlier, that BRICS is not
the model.
And BRICS is not actually, I wouldn't say counter hegemony. I don't see it that way, right? Yes. I see it as an alternative, because in this multipolar world that we're seeing, it's also we're seeing multi-ideological within BRICS. You have like the ruling party in South Africa, the ANC.
Yes.
Good. You have the ANC. You have that is in there, but that fought a liberation struggle against apartheid. And then you have Lula in Brazil, who's more social democratic. Good. And then you have Modi's BJP. Historical, if you know the origin of that party, I see someone use the word fascist.
Yes.
The BJP there was a paramilitary wing linked to the BJP called the RSS. The RSS, right, was the RSS was, it was a member of the RSS that assassinated Mahatma Gandhi. Right? That assassinated Gandhi. But the BJP, if you read the BJP philosophy, if you go online and you read the BJP is, you cannot, well, let me put it this way. The BJP is fascist.
Yes.
You can't get away from that.
Yes.
You have to remember that they believe they speak about a greater Hindu Vata, a greater India and all of that. And the BJP, before the BJP merged, going back even before India got independence, when Hitler came to power, there were some Indian nationalists who saw Hitler as an avatar.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And you know the man by the name of Chandra Bose.
No, I
who
don't
didn't
know
see
him.
eye to eye with Gandhi. Chandra Bose went and met with Hitler, seeking help from Hitler to help him to kick the British out of India to get independence. And Hitler put him on a submarine and took him, said, well, it's better you deal with the Japanese, that side, the Nera. And they formed the Indian National Army, fought alongside the Japanese.
Yes.
They fought alongside the Japanese.
Yes.
And that is the genesis of. So I'm showing you that. Do you know in what is one of the most popular selling books in India?
No.
Hitler's Mein Kampf.
Oh, wow.
My Struggle.
Wow. Yeah. And I know that book.
I read an interesting article. You can go to any little bookstore and you will find it.
Yes.
Because people need to understand that the German swastika is taken from the Indian sun wheel, the symbol. The same symbol, and Hitler fixed it.
Well,
so
the boys of the caste system is what the Western Europeans took and defined for slavery.
That's right. That's right. And you have to understand that there was no India as such. We talk about the Indus Valley civilization. And I met people from the so-called untouchables, the Dalits.
Yes.
I met some Dalit activists at the World Conference Against Racism in Durban, South Africa in 2000.
Right.
And Dalit activists and scholars will tell you, they said that their origin is linked to Africa.
And you have black people, dark-skinned people now in India.
That's right.
Yes.
But it's when the Aryanization process started.
Yes.
The Aryanization of Indus Valley civilization, that the caste system came. But before that, there was no caste system.
Correct.
So the original inhabitants of what is known today as India, the original, that's why you see the Tamil people. There's the Tamil people of Sri Lanka. If you look at the Tamil Tigers, the Tamil people who fought against the dominant Sinhalese in Sri Lanka.
Yes.
Before they were defeated. The Tamil people are tied to the people of South India, the Tamils.
Yes.
And they're connected. Yes. And the Tamil people are a very dark-skinned people. And they, when you speak to the so-called untouchables, to the Dalits will tell you that they have African roots. Their roots go back to Africa.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Now, I want to just highlight San P 1692 here, his message, which I endorse. It is not necessary to be anti-India, I am anti-people supporting Trump in a sovereign country. Very well said, because
I agree
we're
with
not
that.
here to, yeah, we're not here to disunite or Caribbean people, because we know that Trinidad is half Indian, just like Guyana. And if
Yeah.
we should lose these people, we're not, Trinidad's going to be the same Trinidad, and Guyana is going to be the same Guyana. So we need to unite as a people, irrespective of our race and ethnic background,
That's right.
so that we can fight against U.S. imperialism in the region.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
We're
right.
not here tonight to say some who are black come on this side and those who are Indian
No,
go
no,
on the
no.
other side.
No, 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 no,
Right?
no.
We
No.
want you to understand that we are just saying we want to unite to fight against the common enemy.
Yeah.
And that is what we are here to do. Go ahead, Mr. Pereira.
You know, Indira Gandhi, who was assassinated, Prime Minister of India, she visited Guyana many, many years ago. Prime Minister Forbes Burnham at the time.
Yes.
And people in the Caribbean need to know this. When the apartheid regime, when you had apartheid in South Africa, a number of Caribbean countries took a very strong position that we will not play cricket with South Africa.
Yes.
Guyana was forming that. Guyana said that any visiting team that came to the Caribbean, you can play in any other country, but if you played any cricketer who played in South Africa will not be allowed to enter Guyana. Right? President Burnham was clear about that. India was one of the countries that prohibited their cricketers from playing cricket against South Africa.
Yes.
So people need to understand this. India took under Indira Gandhi took a strong position against apartheid. And Indian cricketers did not play cricket with against South Africa.
Oh.
So this here is nothing about anti-India or anything. We're just
yes.
I praise. Do you know I mentioned that in Kerala state? Do you know that poverty has dropped tremendously because in that state where the states that the communists control in that system, they have been carrying out fighting the war on poverty. And there are a lot of great Indian revolutionaries.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of great Indian revolutionaries. They're great Indian socialist thinkers and freedom fighters. Right? Whether they're communist Marxists, some of the best minds I have read on Marxism came out of the Indian Communist Party, one of the Indian Communist Party, because there are many communist parties in India.
Yes.
So, you don't have to be a communist to read. Marx was a great thinker. You don't have to be a Marxist
Absolutely.
to equip Marx, identify things that were true, very valid today.
Absolutely.
So
about capitalism.
You read that. So this is not about it, but what we are saying is the BJP. I mean, I cannot defend and stand up. Modi was the chief minister at the time in the state when Indian Muslims were being killed. Many Indian Muslims were killed. Thousands were killed. And Modi did nothing.
Yes.
He did nothing.
Mr. Pereira, I want to look at the whole fact, the possibility, I should say, not the fact, but the possibility, because these are just speculation. This is a speculation that if the war continues with Venezuela, that the people of Guyana and Trinidad could see that their communication network is shut off. What do you think?
Of course.
Or shut down.
They will shut it down.
Yes.
I mean, Andrew, let me listen. What you're doing, your message, this program that you're running is getting very popular.
Yes.
And the enemy is they're creating problems.
Yes.
I can see it. I know it. I've been around to know the dirty tricks of the enemy.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's more than, apart from shutting down the communication, they want to, the next thing they've started already, they've started editing and removing certain things from the internet.
Yes. Yes. That is true.
Yeah.
But how are people going to communicate? Because if already Trinidadians, for example, Guyanese too, are putting up photos and videos of things happening that the state doesn't want to divulge. For example, the installation of the radar system in Tobago, had the citizens not taken videos of what they saw, Kamala person Bicester would have continued to say, no, it's not true.
Yeah.
But when
They
she
cannot
saw
be
the images
trusted.
online, yes, go
They're
ahead, Mr. Perot.
they're strangers to the truth. And this is
Yes,
the problem with these politicians. You know,
yes, yes,
they don't know what's the truth.
yes.
Because they are there to manipulate public opinion, to fool the people. This is what they do. They lie to us, and then somewhere along the line, you find out that, look, this is what happened. You signed this, or you said this, or something. And then they try to make a 360-degree, a complete turnaround.
Yeah, yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that what we're doing here is serious business. Another thing is that the privilege that you have here and you're interacting with each other, can see that you have very vigorous, robust discussion going on in the chat. It's very good, but very soon we will not be privileged to have these dialogue. So I hope that we are taking advantage of the opportunities we have right now to be able to have dialogue with each other, even though we might disagree on certain issues, right? Because I think in very short time, particularly in Trinidad and Guyana, the system might be closed down or partially closed down, not to allow people to talk about war. Then you can talk about any other thing, but you will not be able to talk about the war in Venezuela. What do you say about that, Mr. Pereira?
Well, that is what they will do. They'll block out the information, block out the
Yes.
news and everything.
Yes.
That's what they do.
Yes.
And independent journalists and independent and progressive journalists will not have access to what's going on.
Yes.
Only the right-wing media, those who carry the lies and the propaganda, the Fox News and those types, will be allowed in. So they'll definitely be there. That's why they do a blackout, not a blackout, a whiteout of information.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. If you see the number of chats we have and discussion in the live, amazing. And YouTube refuses to send out the video. Lots of people say the chat is just filled with comment and vigorous and interesting comment also. But I guess we have to end here. Any questions? Any sort of final comment, Mr. Pereira? And
well, the only thing, two things. I just saw an interesting comment. The thing about Trinidad is there's no pro-black party as such, right?
Yes.
I just want to take on that before I close up. The thing about it is, if you look across the Caribbean, we have the PNM in Trinidad,
the
PNP in Jamaica,
yes,
and
I
don't know what people mean. I think we have leaders who are Africans, but they're not African leaders, because to be an African leader would be to understand and infuse African values.
Yes.
Good. And I am not talking here just about, apart from Afrocentricity, I'm talking about what is called African authenticity. Good. Because to be African is more than being black or dark in complexion.
Yes.
Good. And the African is a very spiritual being. The African is a very collective being, a communal being. The African is a very compared. Now, I'm not saying that we are perfect beings.
Yes.
But there's something about the African ethos, the African value system that is very forgiving. No one can deny that.
Yes.
The African is more, I have seen this. I've been around on God's earth long enough to see this and know it.
Mhm.
I've seen this and know it. The African is a very, when you look at African civilization, Cheikh Diop and all of these, Chancellor Williams have written about it, books about it.
Yes. Yes.
African civilizations welcome others into our
Community.
cultures
Yes.
and our
Yes.
into our communities and our
Mhm.
civilizations, and they turned around and subjugated us.
That's true.
It happened. It happened,
And
and
it continues to happen. And it continues to happen.
it
Right?
continues to happen. It continues
Correct.
to happen. Africans are. There are so many other things that I can point to that I don't want to go in, but the African, I'm going to say this, is, and I've seen it, is very moral, is a very moral and spiritual person. And I want to give you an example of that. I'm not saying that many of us have not lost our way, but let me give you an example of that. You look at the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
Yes. Yes.
And the We Shall Overcome,
Mhm.
you know, and
Mhm.
what Africans went through, African Americans went through.
Yes.
And every time they raised the bar, they went higher and they came higher and higher.
Yes. Yes.
You listen to the blues. You listen to the blues.
Yes.
And as my dad, the jazz, as my dad said,
Mhm.
and my dad, he said, no one can sing the blues like an African American.
Yes. Yes.
Because that came out of the experience, the suffering. James
Yes.
Cone addressed this, the blues and black liberation theology.
Yes.
Black
Yes.
suffering in this part of the world was enormous.
Yes.
And yet, with all that trauma and pain, right? Black, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about.
You take your
There's a
time,
little
sir.
island called it is either Sabre or St. Eustatius.
Yes.
And the premier, that the inhabitants, the population there are predominantly African.
Yes.
And twice they elected a premier who was Lebanese.
Yes. Yes.
Was Lebanese.
Yes.
They voted for her not because they didn't say, well, we're not going to vote for you because you don't look like us. They liked her message. And they voted for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm pointed to something here. There's a specificity. There is something unique. I am not saying we're perfect. No human being is perfect.
Far from it,
but
yes.
I am saying yes. And my dad used to say, my dad was a very, he said something and I'll never forget. He said, if, this nonsense that you have to work hard, all those people who got wealthy worked hard.
Yes.
That is not just a myth. That's absolute
not true.
Nonsense. That's
it's a myth.
Nonsense.
Yeah, it's a myth.
And his argument, he said, if hard work used to make people rich,
Black people
then
rich.
Africans would have been the richest on the planet.
Yeah. 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 And you and I know of people who have worked tremendously hard, right? And died in poverty.
In poverty. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is one bundle of nonsense. It's not even a myth, So
You're wrapping
these
up
are
thoughts.
the hard
Yes.
truths that we have to
Yes.
face. But finally, yes, we want the region. We do not want a war. And we would hope that CARICOM at this time, the CARICOM leaders should try. And I find it interesting that at this time when the war drums are beaten up so much and
Yes.
anything can happen, the Caribbean leaders, why can't we convene an urgent meeting of Caribbean heads of state to discuss what is happening?
Mhm.
Call Kamla, call the one in the new one in St. Vincent and everybody.
Yes. Godwin.
And let us
Mhm.
send some message. We want to know where a number of leaders stand. It's
Yes.
important. It's important, but we're not hearing from them.
Yes.
There is
Yes.
that deafening silence.
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't look good at all,
Mm-hmm.
because it's only the impression I'm getting then is like, the pressure is being applied tremendously.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Now, make sure you like the live before you
Because
leave.
even Prime Minister Motley, I'm not hearing from her.
Well, she's silent. Remember now that she's not under the radar of Trump. They
Yeah.
are they are political enemies, put it that way.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I
I
know if
know.
you and
She did
throughout the
what? Yeah.
entire right throughout the entire presidency, she has remained very. And remember
Yeah.
now that she wants to be reelected in Barbados, and she
Yeah.
knows if she goes against him and say openly what she thinks, she
Yeah.
might not be reelected.
I think this is what happened in St. Vincent.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes,
I must agree with you on that.
yes.
You have to be able, you have to, I guess, to how to move between the raindrops, eh?
Correct, and that's what she's doing. And
Yeah.
I don't know if we can
It is
blame
not
her.
easy. It is easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not an easy.
It's
It's
not
not an easy battle. Yeah, it's not an
because
easy battle.
because we're not just dealing, my brother, with mortal beings here.
Yes, yeah.
We're not,
She was speaking out against Trump at the UN meeting, but it's not was anything great that she was saying. She was just
yeah,
speaking in general terms about
yeah,
the whatever. But
yeah,
she's not attacking the things as she can, and that's what Mr. Perro is trying to say.
yeah.
She could if she let us say what is. But one of the things, Mr. Perro, before you go, is the fact that under the Republican Party, they're using our women president. So they're using Kamala now as the star of the Trump in the region of the Trump's presidency. Under Biden, it was Mia Motley when it came
Yeah.
onto the Haitian crisis.
Yeah. Well, that is what they do. They always identify one and wave them to you. But
Yes,
I I I was looking at demonstrations across the U.S. and there was a
yes,
big demonstration of war vets and others in front of in Capitol Hill there, and
mm-hmm.
you should hear them. They're using the strong language, the F word, against Trump, and they're
Mm-hmm.
saying that the soldiers are saying that they swore allegiance to the Constitution, not a tyrant and a dictator.
Yeah.
So the way things are heading up in the United States right now, I don't think Trump is going to survive a full term.
I think he is because
I don't, because his MAGA base is crumbling.
yeah,
His
but
base is crumbling,
mhm.
and a lot of his supporters are turning. Those who have voted for him, a lot of his supporters are turning against him.
Yes, but that is what they have to understand, that while they voted for him, but they didn't send him there.
Yeah,
They sent him there
yeah,
to an extent, but the
yeah.
real powers, as you have said, are the ones. And it seems to me that the Democrats, even though they're screaming and they're
Mm.
carrying on as if they're anti-Trump, they're really not.
Yeah, but even Republicans now are beginning to apply pressure. The
Okay,
Republicans
okay,
are saying top
okay.
Republicans are saying that this whole thing about the strikes, like that incident where 2 survivors were killed,
Yes, yes,
right? They're saying that
yes.
constitutes a war crime. So they're calling. So what I'm saying is, even in the Republican Party, there is a
They're
revolt.
against what he's doing. Yes, there's a
Yeah,
revolt. Yes,
yeah.
there's a revolt. Okay.
So
So,
I don't know if he will be able to, to ride out his full term.
but what they've done all over the years, from 9/11 particularly, is just gross violation of international law. So I don't. Trump might be doing a more egregious. His thing might be more egregious and open right before our face, and he's not even trying to hide it. But I don't think Bush was that different.
No. Well, the what Trump is doing. I mean, Trump is actually, the word Caribbean talk, the word we use, barefaced.
He's
Trump
barefaced,
makes,
right?
yeah,
Right.
Trump has no respect for international law,
Mm-hmm.
and not only Trump but Western nations. International law, what is called international law, is for us in the global south.
Yes.
It's for us.
Yes.
And I, since we are in that, I just want to say it quickly. You can recall when the Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina, yes.
When Argentina invaded the Malvinas or the
Malvinas.
Falklands.
The Falkland Islands, yeah.
And the British Margaret Thatcher dispatched warships, right? And the HMS, I think the HMS Sheffield was sunk by Argentine aircraft, sunk that ship. But what's interesting is, here it goes. The Monroe Doctrine, look, everything here is the U.S. backyard, right?
Yes, yes.
And Europe is not supposed to interfere in America's backyard.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But when Thatcher ordered the British Navy and troops to go to dislodge the Argentine forces from the Malvinas, the United States did not turn to Britain and say, no, you can't come into our backyard.
Yes.
They didn't invoke the Monroe Doctrine. They provided intelligence to the British about the movement of Argentine aircraft and ships and everything. You see? So
yes,
the very Monroe Doctrine that was meant to keep Europeans meddling out in America's so-called backyard, right? They bend it to suit their allies, you know.
If it's in their interest,
like facilitating Britain to go in to kick out Argentina out of the Malvinas.
Yeah, if it is, well, but because it was in America's interest. But if it was not in American interest, they would have kicked Great Britain out. Notice how they're treating Great Britain and France and the Western European nations now with the war on Ukraine and the war on Ukraine. Trump is not even telling them what he's doing. He just treats them like some, what do you call it now? Some children.
Well, Caribbean people need to learn the Americans are not a reliable ally or friend, because when Margaret Thatcher dispatched the warships to dislodge and the troops to dislodge the Argentine forces from the Malvinas, the Argentine generals were allies of America.
That's it. That is
Many of them took part in the dirty war. Many of them took people, activists, and took them in aircraft and dumped them into the sea.
Yes.
You remember the many people who the mothers of the disappeared?
Yeah. In fact, they're saying that
General Galtieri, they were allies of America.
Yeah.
And what America did them is what they did to Saddam Hussein.
Yes. 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 And that's what we're saying, that, once look at what America is doing. Which European country is speaking out against what Trump is doing with Maduro? They're not speaking against what he's doing there.
No.
They're not.
No.
Because it's in their, I don't know if it's in their interest or they're afraid of speaking out against it. What do you think, Mr. Burrow?
I think the history of the West, it's important to look at the West, the Anglo-Saxon, how the West operates in the Anglo-Saxon countries.
Yes.
And completely different to the Slavic nations. This thing with the United States, the role of the US in NATO, right?
Yes.
The only reason NATO has always been there with the West, but the only reason Trump is trying to disengage from NATO is because Trump felt that, look, if we are the big superpower, this big power, then we have all these bases all over the place, and the Europeans are not making the financial contribution they're supposed to make.
Yes.
Trump wanted more. That's what he was saying. But they've always stood together. I mean, let me give you an example again. Like, for example, when in the transition period, when Nelson Mandela was coming into office, you remember we mentioned that? Part of the negotiation was for the new government, for the black government, to hand over the nuclear components, the weapons, the components of the nuclear weapons that were already, that was South Africa, racist South Africa was already in possession of. And the British and the Americans and the French and all of them got South Africa, Mandela and them to hand it over. But, so they worked together on that and they've collaborated.
Yes.
But Trump being the wild card he is, and this, the thing about America first, he's saying is, look, we've been putting more into NATO than we're getting. So y'all should pay some of the bills. That's basically, Trump is a transactional man. He's about transaction. Trump sees everything in terms of monetary and real estate. Everything,
But that's American culture. I always say to
dollars and
people,
cents.
yeah, it's American culture. I think the most despicable characteristic about Trump is very quintessential America. And America has to also come to grips with her, as you're saying, Mr. Pereira, the materialistic understanding of the world in which America has fallen into now. She sees everything as just material, as a material value.
That's right.
And you're an object. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that is how Trump speaks, and that is America.
That's right. This American exceptionalism. But you know, we have witnessed, you see, look, it is difficult. I don't know how. It's just, it cannot, you cannot do it. It's hard to reconcile capitalism, right? Especially in its neoliberal stage, its neoliberal form, with the ethical and spiritual teachings of the Gospels and of the Quran. They're incompatible. They're incompatible because capitalism is about homo economicus. The man, it sees man only as an economic being. And everything is transformed into a commodity.
Transactional.
Transactional. Work was meant to be a vocation. Work was transformed into a commodity that could be sold. Right? So the worker sells what he has, which is his labor power. As Marx understood, right? He sells his labor power, and what he's given is enough to keep him going so he can come back and slave for the worker. It's for the master. It's called wage slavery, but he's never given the value of the thing, right? So, so it promotes that culture. It has that materialistic culture, that right? I consume, I work, therefore I am. And you get this culture of people just spend. Look, I can remember when we were growing up on Good Friday, what they call Good Friday.
Yeah, Good Friday.
Not a shop open. Pharmacies will open.
Yes.
Pharmacy will open late in the evening quickly for people who need jobs.
Yes.
But now today, you go to those Western European countries, the people who told you about Good Friday, go to Canada, go to those Western European countries, and Good Friday is like a shopping day.
It's any other day. Any other day.
Any other day. Any other day. So what I'm saying is, you know, they have thrown all of that through the window. It's just this crass materialism, this consumerism.
Yes.
My only reason for living is to consume. And we live in a world that our resources are not infinite. Good?
Yes. Clarence is saying that it used to be.
The culture. Vance Packard wrote a book many moons ago called The Wastemakers and the Hidden Persuaders, the role of the advertising agency. Right? Do you know when you're doing marketing programs, a degree in marketing, they actually get you to write papers to show how you can persuade someone to buy something that they don't really need.
In fact, when I was in
And the
Brazil,
psychology of the market comes in.
yes, yes. When I was in Brazil, there was this student who at the university was doing a degree in a career, a Brazilian girl in marketing. And she asked me, is it true that marketing is related to Satanism in terms of the fact that those who are marketers have to, they make a compact with the devil? I said, I couldn't tell her that. I couldn't say yes or no, but
No, don't
I
know
would not
that.
be surprised because the way how they persuade us to buy things that we don't need, that cannot be something that is of any value, right?
That's right.
You
Well,
know?
it's amazing how when you listen to some of the things. But the thing is that this and you know, my brother, I just want to say this to some of my friends who are communists, you know, or some of the communist activists. They're not our enemies, they're our allies.
Yes.
But you cannot, any ideology that negates the spiritual, right, will have problems trying to bring about a new being.
A human, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Right? Because
Yeah.
to appeal, what I'm saying is you cannot, to understand, to bring about genuine social change, social transformation, we have to understand as the human being as is essentially a spiritual being.
Yeah.
We need to understand this, that he's more than economic. He's more
Yes.
than an economic being, right? He's more than that. He's not homo economicus. He's a spiritual being. And man has spiritual needs. The same way we go to gyms and the gym and spend hours exercising, looking at the body, and
Physical, yes.
we eat the various foods. We don't eat this and eat that, you know, to fix. Yes, the body, these things, exercise and the food you take, that's for the physical
Lifestyle.
dimension. That's for the physical side of our existence. What about the spiritual dimension of our life?
Yes. And the mental. We have the
That's right,
mental,
the spirit and the
psychological,
mental. That's
and the
right.
spiritual. Yes.
The mental and the spiritual. The spirit has its food. And
That's
there is a thing called, a friend of mine wrote an entire book on spiritual fitness.
Yes. Yes.
And in that book, he drew from all the traditions, from the Jewish tradition, from the Hindu tradition, from the Islamic, the Christian, and the Buddhist tradition. Because what he was trying to point out is that in all of these worldviews and religious philosophies, there are noble principles and values that can guide humanity.
Yes. And man has a spirit.
Yeah.
And man has a spirit. And that is
man
what
has a spirit.
Man has a spirit.
Man
and that is
has
what
a
many
spirit.
people reject now. They just think that we're just mental and physical, but we don't have a spirit. And that is why many writers are suggesting that's why we have a lot of mental crisis in the United States, in the Western world in general.
Yeah.
Because people are empty.
Yeah.
They're empty. And that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I think Alexis Carrel wrote a book called The Crisis of Man. But the crisis of man is really a crisis of Western man.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And those who hold on to the West, when the West goes down, the countries go, we will go down with it. You know, Franz Fanon warned us in The Wretched of the Earth in the closing chapter.
I watched that, yes. Read that.
Yes, he said, you know, this Europe that speaks of man, but yet kills man everywhere. He said, you know, let us invent a new future. Let us go beyond this Europe.
Yes. And on that note, we can go ahead, Mr. Pearl. Go ahead, you finish your thought.
We have to, because the West, the future will not be shaped by the US empire and the West. A new dawn, a new humanity is not going to be shaped by those who built their economies and society on colonial genocide and primitive capital accumulation and the trade in captured Africans and Indian indentureship, and before the genocide of the indigenous people of this part of the world. The future
Yes.
will not be shaped by them.
Yes. Yes. On that basis, I think that's a very great note of to end our live. People, make sure you like the live and share it. And also, please go over to my channel, Rumination News Network, and watch the videos that I published yesterday and the one that I published also yesterday. Please go there and watch it. And we want to thank Mr. Pereira for joining. And we hope that we'll have another live coming soon. And thank you. Any questions before we go? Make sure you watch the video I published today. Don't allow the algorithm to bury the video and it will not be seen. Go and watch the video yesterday that I published and the one that I published today so that the algorithm can send the videos along. We see a lot of video suppression and we don't want it to suppress the other videos in the algorithm. So please do that for me. And thank you so much for joining, and see you on another live, another time. Bye.